So the season of the Baltimore Ravens almost feels over after only 4 weeks of the NFL season, and while they absolutely can still climb out of this 1-3 start, the injuries are piling up sky high, and it's so bad that some are beginning to think they should start looking forward to a top 10 draft pick. Honestly, they have a small window of hope, but everything needs to come together for them ASAP. So I've got to talk about that, some wild takeaways from the crazy overtime thriller on Thursday Night Football, key injuries heading into Week 5 of the NFL season, and more right after. All right, first up, Thursday Night Football was surprisingly one of the best games of the year so far. And I say surprisingly because of all the injuries for the 49ers. I thought this game would not even be close. You had Brock Purdy sitting out because of his toe injury, literally didn't even travel with the team, and that meant Mac Jones got the start again. Well, he was starting a couple games. Brock Purdy came back in. Mac Jones then played again last night. You get the point. And then Jawan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall both were out. Kittle was already on IR, and Nick Bosa's done for the year. So there was a lot of injuries, yet they somehow still managed to pull out the W. Really, the Rams should have won it. They were the better and healthier by far team after all, and I did pick them to win this game. But if the quote-unquote better team doesn't execute at a high level, the more banged up and injured team can still absolutely make you pay for those mistakes. After all was said and done, the Rams had 2 turnovers, lost them both, missed a field goal, had an extra point blocked, and a costly 4th down conversion in overtime that I'll get to here in a second. The most costly play of the game, however, is when Niners rookie defensive tackle Alfred Collins punched this ball out at the goal line on Kyren Williams. That would have put the Rams up 27-23 with a minute left in the game. I have no idea why Kyren Williams, by the way, didn't have both hands on the ball. It was 1st and goal, and it's making my voice crack because I'm so stressed out about it. Not really, but the Rams cost themselves big time on that one. They did get a stop, and they were able to kick a field goal and force overtime, but Eddie Pinheiro just snuck this one in to strike first in OT. The Rams drove all the way inside the Niners 20, and instead of opting to kick a field goal on 4th and 1 to tie it up and maybe literally end overtime in another tie like the game last week, they went for it on 4th and 1, and Kyren Williams was stopped short of the line to gain, and the Niners won it 26-23, somehow advancing to 4-1 despite being without several key starters. Kyle Shanahan is coaching his you-know-what off right now, and McVay, after the game, he did take blame for that 4th and 1 play, saying the play selection was very poor, and he put his players in a crappy spot. Well, yeah, that we can agree on. You have Devontae Adams, who had a great game. It was like 11 targets, 5 catches, 83-ish yards. And then you also have Puka Nacua, 2 of the best possession receivers in the NFL. You run a 1-yard play to Kyren Williams, or with Kyren Williams, with Fred Warner over there. Not a great idea, to say the least. In spite of that costly error, the Rams were rolling all night on offense as Stafford threw nearly 400 yards with 3 touchdowns to go along with it. Puka continued his dominance with 10 grabs for 85 yards and a score off of a very nicely designed quick pass. Kyren Williams also caught 2 touchdowns and had over 130 yards from scrimmage, but that fumble late in the game near the goal line is what people are going to remember most from his performance and the game overall. For the Niners, Kendrick Bourne stepped up in a major way with all their wide receiver injuries, and he posted career highs of 142 yards and 10 catches. CMC continues to be very effective in every facet of the game, combining for nearly 140 total yards as well as a receiving touchdown. Mac Jones is a big story of this game, though. The man was hobbled throughout the night as he had a defender land on his knee. He came into the game with a bit of a knee injury. Then he had a bit of cramping in his forearm. He was even seen doubled over dry heaving on the sideline, but he managed to throw for 342 yards and 2 touchdowns, helping lead the Niners to their 3rd division win already this year. And they're now sitting atop the NFC West at 4-1. They travel to Tampa to take on the Bucs next week, so that will be another tough test for them. And it remains to be seen who will be out there at quarterback for them between Mac Jones and Brock Purdy. Honestly, it could be neither of them, depending on how Mac Jones and that knee is feeling if Purdy's toe still isn't ready, which I'm not extremely confident in at the moment. But then the Rams will also hit the road and head to Baltimore, though that should be an easier game because look at the Ravens' freaking injury report. This is why the Ravens are probably losing their next 2 games. You have no Awuzie, no Marlon Humphrey, no Lamar Jackson. More on him in a moment. No Roquan Smith, and the list goes on. If the Rams don't find a way to beat the Ravens, I don't know what to tell them, and that's not even to mention defensive tackle Nnamdi Madubuike is out for the entire season on injured reserve as well. Regarding Lamar Jackson, though, Josina Anderson shared that he's not expected to play against the Texans. We already know that. That's Cooper Rush season. But he's also not expected to play in their next game against the Rams either. After that is their bye week, so it would make sense if they just took it to the bye instead of trying to rush him back out there and risk further aggravation of that hamstring. The thing is, they're already 1-3 and cannot afford to drop any more games this early on in the season if they want a shot at the playoffs. The Texans are coming off their first win of the season, so there's a little momentum there. Then the Rams are one of the best teams in the NFC in my opinion, even though, yes, they did lose last night. I still think they are a great team. So yeah, those are not going to be easy, especially considering, again, it's Cooper Rush filling in for Lamar Jackson at quarterback. The only saving grace here for the Ravens is that their schedule does soften up quite a bit after the bye. You can see it on screen here, and it's not exactly a murderer's row, so they could very well rattle off several wins in a row and sneak into the playoffs, maybe, but it's going to be a lot more difficult, again, if they drop one or both of these next two games without Lamar Jackson. An exciting quarterback that is coming back this week, though, is Jayden Daniels. He missed the last two games with a knee sprain, but he was medically cleared and returned to practice in full this Wednesday. By all indications, he should be out there on Sunday against the LA Chargers, though he will likely be rocking a big old brace on his left knee, and I do think his mobility will be a little bit limited. Sadly, he'll also be without his wide receiver one, Scary Terry, who's set to miss his second game in a row with a lingering injury to his right quad. That should be a great game regardless, by the way, because the Chargers are looking for a bounce-back win after dropping a game to the Giants last week, while the Commanders are attempting to get over 500 again after their loss to ATL. Herbert is coming into this one with the 6th most passing yards per game, and he's got a great matchup as Washington is 27th in passing yards allowed. Joe Alt has been ruled out with an ankle injury, though, and their guard Mekhi Becton is questionable, though it's looking like he should play after missing last week with a concussion. Regardless, there are some question marks along that O-line, especially with their franchise left tackle, Rashawn Slater, out for the entire season. And in spite of that, I think they can get out of that game with the W in this one. And I've got to talk about even more matchups from this week and interesting storylines. But first, I've got to let you guys in on 3 of my favorite picks for week 5 of the NFL season using Underdog, the best and easiest place to play fantasy sports. I like Quinshon Judkins' higher than 72.5 rushing yards. He's hit that in his last 2 matchups and continues to get more and more carries every game. Meanwhile, he's facing a Vikings defense that ranks 24th against the run, currently allowing over 130 yards per game. So I like that, and I also like the rookie Woody Marks to get in the end zone once, whether that's rushing or receiving. Woody scored 1 of each last week, and he's now playing the Ravens, who are dead last in points allowed this season. Combine that with the fact that D'Amico Ryan said he'll be more involved in the offense moving forward, and you've got yourself a no-brainer here, at least in my opinion. And finally, I'm taking Chris Godwin's higher on 3.5 receptions. Last week in his first game back since week 7 of 2024, this man had 10 targets. Now, only 3 of those were catches, but the volume is there and Mike Evans continues to be out, so at least 4 catches is very in reach. And if these 3 picks hit, you can win up to 4.55x on your money, or you can flex it so 2 out of 3 is still a W. So go ahead and tail these or make picks of your own by choosing higher or lower on your favorite player stats to win up to 1,000x on your money. And right now, any new signup who uses my code CBTH can play just $5 and get $100 in bonus funds plus a gimme pick in the lobby. So yeah, I'm feeling especially good about those picks after I hit all 3 of these last week and tripled my money. James Cook was a layup to score a touchdown, and I wouldn't be shocked if he goes off again against the Patriots on Sunday Night Football. Cook is now up to 21 rushing touchdowns since the start of the 2024 season, the most of any player in the NFL. I think Josh Allen is one to watch, though, because the Patriots defense is ranked 26th against the pass, so don't be shocked if Josh Allen comes out and slings it all over the yard. If the Bills get the win, which I would assume they do, it's a divisional game, though. Those can get weird, so you never know. But if they get the win, they'll break the franchise record for most consecutive regular season home game wins with 15. They'll also distance themselves even further from the rest of the AFC East, which is basically a joke right now outside of Buffalo. I do think Drake May and the Patriots will eventually be solid with Vrabel now at the helm, but the Bills run this division, and I don't think that's really changing anytime soon. Something that did change was the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Dillon Gabriel is set to make his NFL debut this Sunday against the Vikings, and this game is being played across the pond over there in London, while the Vikings have actually been in Europe for over a week now, as they just played in Dublin last Sunday. So they may have a bit of an advantage as they've already adjusted to the time difference, but they're going to need all the help they can possibly get because their O-line is decimated right now. They'll be without their starting left guard, their first and second string center, and their starting right tackle. So good luck with that, Carson Wentz, who will be getting the start, by the way, after J.J. McCarthy was ruled out again with an ankle injury. Wentz threw 2 picks and took 6 sacks last week and is going up against Myles Garrett and a very solid D-line, so God bless you. Meanwhile, since 1999, Browns quarterbacks in their first career starts are 0-16, which is kind of a wild stat, but true, and he's facing a solid Brian Flores-led defense that is 4-0 against rookie QBs since Flores took over. I say all that to say this game could get incredibly gross and possibly a bit weird, and there's a reason why Vegas is projecting it to be the lowest scoring game of the week. And real quick, some other notable injuries include Kenny Moore and Alec Pierce for the Colts. They've both been ruled out ahead of their matchup with the Raiders. Kenny Moore is probably bummed he has to miss this one, as he's already got a pick 6 on the season, and Geno Smith leads the NFL in picks with 7. That's a whole lot. Truck ton, to be exact. Brock Bowers missed the last 2 practices for the Raiders, which had some concern, especially me because he's on my fantasy team. But Pete Carroll told the media that Brock will be questionable, indicating that they were just resting him and they do anticipate him playing. So that's good news for Vegas, unless, of course, this is all merely a bit of gamesmanship from them. Either way, Bowers or no Bowers, I still don't like their odds against Danny Dimes and the Indianapolis Colts. If A.D. Mitchell hadn't cost them 2 touchdowns last week against the Rams, they would be 4-0 right now. So they're the real deal, or at least they appear to be through the first 4 games of the season. And I think they moved to 4-1 after this weekend. Keep an eye on the Bucs and Seahawks game as well, because Sam Darnold might have an opportunity to put up some big numbers. Jamel Dean has been ruled out, as have Benjamin Morrison and Christian Izien. That's 3 cornerbacks out for the Bucs. So shoot, I might have to hop back on Underdog and take both Sam Darnold and Jackson Smith and Jigba's hires, because JSN is behind only Puka Nacua for the most receiving yards in the league right now. Then Bengals rookie defensive tackle Shamar Stewart has been ruled out with an ankle injury, and so is Panthers running back Chuba Hubbard, who has a lingering calf issue. There's a lot more injuries than that, but those are some of the notable ones worth mentioning that popped out to me when glancing through. But hey, make sure to let me know which games you guys are looking forward to the most this weekend, and with that, I'll see y'all next time.